sisters. So yesterday I posted a video on what is Judaism, and I'm getting a lot of traction on that video, and I haven't marketed that video or really any of my videos yet because I'm still developing this channel. And I suppose I'm getting a lot of traction on it because of the unfortunate war that's going on in Israel and stuff like that, and maybe people want to understand more about the Jewish religion. And the engagement on that video is not very great. It's not where I want it to be, and I think it's because the title might be misleading. That video is part of a basic Bible knowledge series, right? So I just simply went over how Judaism is an ethnicity and a religion and why it's important really for the whole world. I didn't say specifically what the Jewish people worship, right? And what is the religion of Judaism. And so I understand how that can be misleading. So I want to do this video so that you guys can understand really what Judaism is, what do they worship, what are they about. So stay tuned, it's coming up right now. My knowledge of Judaism is limited to what exactly is written in the Bible, right? And what I know from the Old Testament and from the New Testament. And I am a Christian who loves the Old Testament. So I know biblically a lot about the Jewish religion, but the Jewish religion is not only, it's a lot like Catholicism, where they do a lot of man-made traditions. So I can only tell you as much as what the Old Testament tells me. I want to start with saying, why did God create the Jewish nation, right? Why do they call themselves God's people? And why are they so closely related to God? God handpicked one man to create a nation from which salvation was going to come, and that would be Abraham. He picked Abraham, and from Abraham the Jewish nation was born. And Jesus, you can trace his lineage all the way back to Abraham, right? So he handpicked one man to create a nation just for his son to come from. But before that, right? Before that happened, because it was going to be a long time. From Abraham to Jesus, we're talking probably thousands of years. And God wasn't going to leave the world without a savior for thousands of years. So what God wanted to do through the Israelite nation, he desired for the Israelites to be a light to the world, right? A nation that would lead other nations to God. And he basically made these laws, really what God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And then God was compassionate on the people and for all their sins, and then he created a bunch of other laws that allowed them to do things that God initially didn't want them to do from the beginning, but he continued to be compassionate, and he gave them other laws that gave them room for, I suppose, more error or whatever, and that was just out of his compassion for his people. But it was never what he wanted. God never wanted Israel to have a king. God never wanted Israel to have judges. God never wanted Israel to have a priesthood. God never wanted Israel to have prophets. God never wanted any of that. God always wanted his people to simply, all of the people individually, to look to him, right, and obey those commandments, and to look to him and believe in him, and believe that he could lead them from outside of space and time and, from the heavens. He wanted the Israelites to believe that God would lead them, and they didn't. The Jewish people believe in the same God as Christians, right? They believe in Yahweh. And they also believe in a Savior. They just don't believe that Jesus is their Savior. The Jewish people believe in a political Savior. They believe that a political Savior is going to come and restore peace on earth. That's what they believe. Do they believe in heaven? I believe so. But do they believe in resurrection? Some, right? I believe that the Pharisees in the Old Testament believed in resurrection, and I think it was the Sadducees that they were Jewish people who don't believe in resurrection. Passover is a holiday, right? We all know that. Passover is a holiday where the Jewish people remember the freedom they received, or the deliverance from captivity in Egypt. And it more so, I would say, relates to the 10th plague that God sent on Egypt, because Pharaoh's heart, the Pharaoh of Egypt at the time, was very hard. He did not want to, he wouldn't relent, and there were so many plagues, right? And the only way he relented, really for a moment, because even after he let the people go, he went after them after that. But the 10th plague God sends to Egypt is, he says that he's going to kill every firstborn creature, which included humans. But he offers, and this is a theme throughout the Bible, he offers salvation. And he says for every family who slaughters, I believe, the firstborn lamb, and uses the blood and paints the door, they put the blood of the lamb over their door, God would pass over that door and save their firstborn, right? And that's what happened. So that's why it's called Passover, because he passed over the homes of the people who had faith that God would protect them. But in that celebration of Passover, they also remember the deliverance of Egypt, right? Of being, right, the deliverance of being captive in Egypt. So they don't just remember, oh, God protected us. They also remember God set us free from Egypt. I hope this is more of what you guys wanted when you were looking at the other video. I hope this answers more of your questions. And of course, if you have more questions, you can always leave them down in the comments below. Don't just leave the video, guys. Just comment down below and I will either reply or make another video clarifying, right? And clarifying and giving answers in more detail. It's a joy for me to be able to do this, and to do this with you, for you, and really to share knowledge, right? I love doing that. So again, I hope this is what you wanted, and I will see you next time.